because I just saw it in my feed, and I just saw this in my feed, and I feel like I need to watch this. Okay, because it's just so crazy to me. It's called Getting Drunk and Discussing Transgenderism with Alex Jones. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that what the title was when I first read it was Getting Drunk and Dissing Transgenderism. So I was like, this is going to be funny. It still sounds like it's going to be funny, which is probably not the proper discourse for this conversation. But I'm interested. Let's watch.
Gay people, but I don't want them putting chemicals in the water. I'm not against gay people, but I don't want them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
True.
I mean, you come off like a woman. You look like a woman. They had spiders, goats that were part spiders, whose udders were basically spider spinnerets, because the rest of the goat looks like a goat. It's ma'am, I'm gonna beat your ass.
Is he talking about Elden Ring? Like, is he talking about characters from like Dark Souls, the Dark Souls universe? Like, what's happening here?
Hey guys, what you're about to watch is a clip from a new episode with Alex Jones from my new podcast that just launched, The Blaire White Project. It airs the day after this video.
You know what I need to do? I need to make a podcast. But I don't know who with yet, you know? But I mean, I'm pretty sure that's my commentary is cool. Obviously, according to me, but I enjoy my commentary. But I genuinely think that, like, for me, a podcast is probably like that's probably what would make me, that would probably be what like gets me going. But I just don't know who I'd want to do it with or how I want to structure it. So,
goes live on my second channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other platform. I did what I consider to be the most interesting interview Alex has ever done. Full stop. I asked him
that's tough because he called himself the epic all-pro R word on the Joe Rogan podcast, but. Make a podcast with hand puppets, very good.
Questions about the lawsuits against him, his mistakes, controversies, what he's done that he's proud of. And I think that regardless of your feelings about him, when the full episode launches tomorrow, I think you'll find it fascinating. Trans issues, human-animal hybrids, aliens, psychedelics, you name it. It's all going to be there. And we were drinking the whole time. Enjoy this clip and then make sure you tune in the day after this video goes live for the full experience.
They can't say that.
Exactly. It's an orthodoxy. And like getting back to that, whenever I was here last week, a lot of people were commenting online. I saw it like, well, wait a minute. He hates people that are trans or whatever. But then he's here being a hypocrite. And no, I've never been a hypocrite. I'm not against any adults with whatever they want to do. I'm a libertarian when it comes to that. I've never changed that view. You've been listening for a long time. You know that. What I don't like is whether it's
yeah. So what he's saying here is that like he's fine if what he's saying. I don't know if it's true, but what he's saying is like he's fine if you're gay or you're trans. He doesn't respect it. We've already established that you look like a woman. But it exists. That's a behavior that exists, and it's like, oh, you're a free person. You do whatever you want. But he doesn't like necessarily validate the idea or the thought. But
homosexual, heterosexual, whatever it is, children need to be left alone and be innocent. Ooh, and if a dude walked up and started trying to tell my kids at the park, 5 and 6 year olds, about sex, you call the police. But what is the school doing? Leave people alone and let them do what they want as adults, and then let them make their own decisions. That's what freedom's all about. So I've never been hypocritical, and I've never been, I
mean, like, listen, I can definitely get on board with the fundamental concept of you don't need to teach. Like, there's ages where you need to start teaching kids about safe sex, 100%. But you don't really need to be teaching about it in too young of an age, and parents should be able to weigh in on what's being taught, right? What they may feel is too much. And conversations about gender, I don't know. It's a touchy topic, because here's the thing. I don't think it's bad to educate people on gender. The thing is, I don't know, man. I mean, you're not going to turn a kid trans just because they acknowledge trans people exist. I just know that young kids are impressionable, and there are some people who identify as trans in some capacity. Kids, this is the thing, man. Kids are impressionable, and some kids probably are identifying as trans as a trend, right? Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are exploring their gender, I'm sure, but some of them are just identifying because it's cool. It makes you unique without having to do any actual work. And I feel like there's an argument about how that could erase people that are trans, actual trans people, especially ones with gender dysphoria, where they have an incredible struggle with their identification as a trans person. So, I'm just saying. And you couple that with mental health professionals that are far too quick to diagnose in an affirming way rather than explore it. Yeah, it's possible that your kid is like, oh, the kid says they're trans, they know what to, and they know how to act because they can see it like on the internet, they can look up resources, and then they act in a way where they could get diagnosed because, like, as an adults, we're not fucking very, we're not adulting enough. I don't really know how to say it other than that, to an extent, honestly. But I think that some mental health professionals are too quick. Because I've talked to a detransitioner before, and they're like, "Yeah, it was really easy to get this diagnosis. It wasn't difficult at all." And then it's kind of sets us up for failure in some capacity, you know.
A fraud about that. I think you're a really nice person, really smart, neat person. I like you a lot. So he was your friend.
Whoa!
So to me, it doesn't matter.
I would totally watch their OnlyFans.
Individuals and what they want to do in their own lives.
They call me the same shit. It's like, so it's funny that you mentioned they're calling you a hypocrite. I thought when you first started that sentence, you were going to say people were calling me that because I saw that about me. It's like, how could you sit there and talk with him or hang out with him? Which, first of all, this isn't the first time we've been on camera together. This is like the second or third.
Ooh,
but second of all, how are you going to tell me behind a screen how he feels when I've been in a room with him? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, but that's what's happening is you were on my show like 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I thought you're a really smart person.
You were my first interview ever.
So I was lucky you came on my show. You're a really smart, neat person. And so it's just not real. I mean, you come off like a woman, you look like a woman, and it seems natural that you're a woman. But then you get some giant former, ex-con armed robber prisoner who's like deadlifting 600 pounds. And he's like, somebody goes, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" Yeah.
Who's your? Oh, he's referring to Janae Marie Kroc. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? It has to be Janae Marie Kroc. I don't know how to spell it the right way. All right, so Jana Marie. This has to be who they're referring to. Not that person. This is the person. Thank you. So if you guys probably don't know,
my name is Janae Marie Kroc.
Janae Marie Kroc. I used to be into like, strength sports, like strongman and shit. And this person used to be Matt Krasinski. And they came up with like the Kroc row, really cool. And they transitioned. And I remember a while back, Blaire tried to make it seem like Janae, or Blaire might try to make it seem like Janae was advocating for her, to be able to compete in female sports, when she never said that. And there was a whole controversy. And I guess we're still here, still unable to cope about the mistake that you've made of that person. So, yeah. Alex was caught with T-girl porn on his phone. Don't say T-girl. Just say like trans woman porn or trans girl porn. I feel like it's a little slurry, T-girl. It just feels that way. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel, bro.
Man, I'll get to you next. He's like, "It's ma'am, I'm going to beat your ass." And he's like sitting there.
Oh, you're... Wait, okay, never mind. Not talking about that person. Talking about... Oh, my God. He's referring to this. Oh, let me just find it. This is what...
No, we're not doing credit. You're going to give me my fucking money back.
Excuse me, sir. There's a young man in here.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I can call the police if you'd like me to. You need to settle down.
You need to settle down and mind your business, okay? Ma'am, once again, ma'am.
I said both of you.
No, you said sir. Once again,
Did he say sir?
If you'd like me to, you need to settle down.
you need to settle down and mind your business, okay? Ma'am, once again, ma'am.
I said both of you.
No, you said sir. Once again, it's ma'am.
I actually said both of you guys. It was a general.
Right beforehand, you fucking said sir.
Sir? Okay.
Motherfucker, take it outside. If you want to call me sir again, I will show you a fucking sir.
I apologize.
Motherfucker.
I apologize now.
I mean, listen, dude.
I need your corporate number. Because I'm going to call them and talk about how it was misgendered several times in this store.
I apologize for that.
I need your corporate number now.
He's so fucked up.
Get it for me now.
I'm going to ask you to calm down and stop cussing.
Give me your
Stop
corporate
hitting
number.
extra improper.
Well, I'm going to ask you for the 5th time to stop calling me a man. Because quite clearly I am not.
And I apologize. I'm sorry for that, ma'am. I will get you that number. Is that okay?
Yes, get it for me now.
I'm asking you to stop
Get it
cussing.
for me now. I'm not cussing. I'm not cussing.
Okay.
Give me the damn numbers now, please. Ooh.
Ma'am, I apologize.
Ooh.
I apologize, ma'am.
Wait, they call him sir again?
I'm not cussing. I'm not cussing. Give me the damn numbers now, please.
Oh, he did it again. Did you? This is so fucked up, bro. There's no way this is an accident at this point.
Please.
Sir, there's no way.
Ma'am,
There's no way.
I apologize, ma'am. I will get you that number right now.
Bro.
No, you're just gonna keep bumping your gums. You're just gonna keep bumping your gums and disrespecting trans people in this store, which I plan on telling the entire LGBTQ community. You're going to lose money over this.
Listen, you guys are saying poor retail worker. Honestly, I disagree. I think that this trans person here is in the right, okay? Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Most trans people are not going to be like passable. You know, they're not going to like Blaire White is very passable. Blaire White looks like a woman. She is a woman, but she looks very passable. She looks like a woman. You wouldn't really be able to tell Blaire is trans by seeing them. This person isn't. From my perspective, as long as a person is making an absolutely like reasonable and solid attempt at looking like the gender that they're claiming they are, that's like, for me, that's huge, right? Because you have people who are like, oh, they're like biological men. Let's say biological women. Let's say you have biological women going like, I'm a guy, call me he, him, and they're making no effort to look like a guy. Like, what does it mean to you? What does your transness mean to you? It seems like it means nothing if you're like, I just call me a guy, but like you're gonna look like a girl. You know what I mean? This person's like making reasonable steps. We don't know how far along they are in their transition, and they just want to be called ma'am. And this person keeps calling them sir over and over again, and they get riled up, and now we get the middle of their temper tantrum, right? It's one of those things where, like, I just feel like fundamentally everybody could get pushed to a point of disrespect where they're gonna lash out, right? Like everybody gets to that point. It's different for everybody. For some people, it's much more difficult. Like, I don't think that there's anything you could do or say to me that would make me actually like upset in this situation, unless you were maybe like insulting my wife. That would make me really fucking angry. That would make me really angry. And so like I would go off. The thing is that if like somebody was like insulting my wife and I got pissed and I threw a punch, you guys would be like, I understand. Because you can identify with that. It's difficult to identify with this because like if somebody kept calling me a girl, I wouldn't give a shit. But it's a very different thing when you like grow up through your entire life and like you grow up as a guy and then you're like, okay, I'm finally a girl and I want to be seen as such, and you make reasonable attempts to do that and you're trying really hard and then people just keep, even after they misgender you and you're like, that's not my gender, you continue to say over and over again. It's a very different thing, and it's tied to like the intense amount of like distress associated with like your gender not matching their sex. She's a buff woman with a deep voice. Yeah, I understand that, but like, you know, it's hard to get affirming surgery. Those surgeries are very expensive. So I don't think that it's an overreaction, to be honest with you. Maybe it's a little bit, but I can understand it. How's that? I can understand that. But okay, that's what they're referring to.
There, that's not a woman.
It's different.
It's different. And then sitting there letting a thug do that, it's like no one.
Why is that person a thug? What is it? What was there? Would they have a criminal background that I don't know about? I'm so confused.
And so I'm not one way for one audience and one way for another. It's all completely there. I don't hate anybody. I'm not a hypocrite.
I hate a lot of people.
And I'm not sitting there putting people down. You're not hurting anybody.
It's more convenient for us to hate each other. Let's just be real. It keeps things the way that it is, and it keeps this crazy divide by making it more convenient for me to sit here and think that you're going to have a grudge against me or that you're not going to like me.
Yeah, but I don't just not dislike you. I like you.
Exactly.
And I like the crew out here and all these cool people. I mean, it's just stupid. And what I'm saying is it shouldn't be a political agenda what people do in their personal lives or their identities or who they are. And there was one thing about humans. We change our environment and we change who we are. And it is a fact that we are controlling our evolution. But the globalists then hijack that great truth and say, that's right, and we're going to control the evolution, and we're going to be in the driver's seat, and that should not be done.
You said that it was a...
Okay.
I want to do that. Can we take a 5-second break?
Yes.
All right. That water you had was so good, and I stole it. And I'm going to be good this week, okay?
We need a little more water.
Does that mess you up?
No, anyway, you're fine.
I'm going to try to get out of this and see if we can go eat. So.
Yeah, we should go out to eat.
I really do ship the two of them. I think that they would make an incredible couple. I'm not being facetious in any capacity, and I think every single one of you agree with me.
Yeah, you're good.
Fuck it. Go ahead,
I'm
sorry.
gonna have a sip of this too.
That's yours. I
Yeah.
stole yours.
So
Let's start over. But I mean, here's the deal. Start your question over. I apologize.
yeah, you're good.
This video is sponsored by none other than Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve sponsors everybody. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Undisputed #1.
They're both married to other people. They're having an affair. I'm telling you, they're having an affair. I'm telling you that they're having an affair.
Store on the planet. They've been in business for over 50 years, and they've earned their reputation as #1 by guaranteeing discreet packaging, 24/7 customer service, 90-day no hassle returns, and of course,
Sorry, I had to sneeze a
quality
few times.
products. Adam and Eve has been a very loyal sponsor to me over the years, and I cannot recommend them
Is this gonna
enough.
die, or am I gonna have
You
to
can
fucking
use my
quit?
code Blaire on their website for 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Link in the description.
Very cool.
You mentioned, and I want you to get more into it and tell me a little more because I'm fascinated by it. You said that it was a depopulation scheme. So what is that? 'Cause I want to know.
And
Depopulation
it doesn't
scheme.
mean that people have a proclivity or genetically or for whatever reason are predisposed to something or bad people. It means there's an agenda hijacking that to basically, because obviously you're super smart and you're successful, but I've had members of the UK Parliament on there, even liberals, where overall they are targeting autistic boys. And they are targeting, low IQ and Down syndrome and stuff as a way to make sure that they don't have any children.
I have no fucking idea what this guy's talking about. Oh, is he talking about Christian? Wait, is he saying that like Christian was targeted by trolls to become trans? Holy fuck, Alex Jones is right. I mean, unfortunately, his sample model, for lack of a better term, is Christian. But outside of that, he's right. He's got it. He's got it down. He's correct.
They are basically using that as the cover for sterilization, and then also there's a larger issue of all the studies.
I don't think boys with Downs. Hold on. I think. Let's see. I don't think that boys with Down syndrome can have babies. Am I wrong about that? Like genetically. Maybe I'm wrong about. Why did I think that? Or maybe it's just like a very low chance for a male to be able to have a baby with Down syndrome. I don't really know. I don't know.
We have a up lake in East Texas on our ranch.
Maybe I'm just dumb.
And we wanted to get carp in it to eat the plant, so it's clear water. And you go to the state of Texas and they give you sterilized carp that have had a chemical put in the water that makes them asexual. And so what we know is atrazine and a lot of other chemicals in utero in the first trimester can basically change a lot of the sexual traits, either physically or also where you can see it, or to a less degree inside brain development. And so you do have a lot of...
there has to be chemicals that exist to make people, for lack of a better term, asexual. I mean, that's what a chemical castration is to an extent, I believe. So I guess there's some logic here, but I feel like it's not enough logic. Does that make sense? But okay.
Boys who in utero are more feminine and express more feminine traits, and so it really is the fact that they are more like a girl than a boy. And that's showing up in mammals, it's showing up in reptiles, it's showing up everywhere with the chemicals. And so that's where you get the famous, I'm not against gay people, but I don't want them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Okay, so what's really interesting here is what Alex Jones is making this, he's asserting this idea that there is some kind of a chemical link to like homosexuality and like transness, right? And that it's somehow there's a chemical observed in the womb or something with these identifiable factors. I don't know I don't think that there's anything that supports that narrative. But what I will say is there is a link to being for gay men specifically, and okay. So it's been observed that there's a higher chance of your kid, your male son, coming out gay if they are like for every male that's born, there's a higher chance that the next male that's born will be gay in the mother's womb. So there's potentially a theory about like some kind of a womb impact. Maybe there's like some kind of a system response from a mother to having multiple kids. Maybe it's too much testosterone, and eventually it wears down. The body figures out or feels it needs to increase testosterone production. Maybe it's intentional biological thing where if one mother consistently has boys. The response of the womb is to say we need more maternal figures, so we're going to make this boy kind of a girl in some capacity. I don't really know. But I don't think it has anything to do with fucking chemicals. I think it has everything to do with something else.
And like literally all over.
Because I think he needs it to be a conspiracy. I think it's a biological thing. And this is just a theory for me, so don't take it too seriously. But to me, gay people are biologically necessary as a support structure to like existing family, right? Like if you look in society, gay people are disproportionately higher amount of people who will adopt at disproportionately higher rates, which is a good thing, right? They take care of kids that are quote unquote, for lack of a better term, unwanted. In a family setting, everybody I think has like the stereotypical gay uncle who buys you stuff. Yay, gay uncle, he's cool. It all kind of feeds into like the same narrative. Where they're like, biologically, I think that like gay people kind of exist to be a support structure for their family members. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. I could be. It's an interesting theory to kind of like consider, right? But I don't think that the government is doing it. Okay, that's the point that I want to assert more than anything else. I don't think that the government is doing this. I think that's a crazy. I think that's a little sussy, like a character from the popular hit video game Among Us.
The world, different species of frogs that get these chemicals are no longer attracted to the opposite sex. Whatever it does in the endocrine disruptors it causes a bunch of things to happen. And so we should be having a larger discussion about why there's this proclivity and why this is happening, not hate people that have been affected by it. And of course, going back thousands of years ago,
I love how it's a chemical thing and that like gay people are the victims in this scenario. It's like, yeah, we shouldn't be hating on like gay or trans people. They're actually the victims here because there's chemicals in the water that effectively turn them gay or trans in some capacity. Like even his reasoning is fucking like weird and transphobic, but it's just kind of funny. It's fucked up and dumb, but it's actually kind of funny to me. And I'm sorry.
Or a certain percentage of the population was already like that to begin with. So I don't hate any of those people.
Whoa.
What I'm getting at is that there is a larger scientific body of evidence that shows that this is a cultural thing, but more importantly, it's something happening biological.
The water.
Yeah, I think
you're fucking insane,
I don't know
Alex.
which is scarier, the cultural part or the biological.
You're crazy,
because,
Alex. Mr. Jones.
Like I've felt trans my entire life. Probably 5 was the earliest age I had the feelings. But I also am able to recognize that as I get older, I'm watching 5-year-olds being told they're that way, which is the opposite for me, which was I had these feelings and they weren't validated by everyone around me or pushed. It was just the kind of fucking happened. But now you have these 5-year-olds that are being told because they like girly things or because they like boyish things as a girl that they must be the opposite sex. And it's almost this ideological push. And I guess that would make sense if the theory is that this is a depopulation scheme or at least one aspect of it. But that's scary.
Well,
I mean, it's so interesting that Blaire isn't pushing back at all. Like, I wonder what her actual like. Do you just not have an opinion on what he's saying, or do you think that maybe there is like cum in the water that makes frogs and people gay? I wonder what she thinks.
I mean, there is no doubt they want to destroy the family, and they don't want to have single family dwellings, and they want to not just have GMO.
I agree with that.
Not just have GMO crops.
Why do you think that people want to destroy families? Because we're seeing less families. I just disagree with that. I don't think that anybody's actively trying to like destroy family. I think that it's kind of happening. There's probably a bunch of different things that you could argue as to why the family is getting destroyed. I mean, part of it would be like less religion, of course. But I also think that that's kind of the fault of the church or not liking gay people. I think that people like love to pretend like the church does. Like, listen, you're shamed if you're gay in like every church, or maybe not so much anymore, but it's like historically that's a big push away from it. You could have an argument about welfare. At least the way our welfare happens, it kind of advocates for the conditions. Like, this is the problem with welfare. I like the concept of it, but the thing is that we have conditional welfare, right? So, like, how do you get money if you don't have a lot of money? It makes perfect sense. We give more money to single mothers. That makes sense. But then, like, what ends up happening? It ends up incentivizing a structure where people don't get married because it's like, oh, we get more money if we're separated, so like maybe let's not get married for our kid. There are negative aspects to it, man. And that's why I'm for like some kind of a universal basic income or some kind of a negative income tax, because it's non-conditional, so it won't advocate for these potential conditions. You know?
They want to have GMO people, and you've got all these animal-human hybrids that they never roll out in the public, but they've been producing in all these different medical experiments that don't have rights. They don't have animal rights. They don't have human rights. They're this no man's land. And
so are you saying that's why we need to have animal rights that say that animals are just as powerful as or good as people? Alex, you're a fucking genius.
They're kind of using the trans agenda to get you used to saying a biological man can compete against women, or a biological man can be in prison and 2 women got pregnant. That's not true. So they're also just using it to
I'm so confused.
Basically be illogical and then scapegoat a group of people that are innocent like yourself, and they know what they're doing, and it's total divide and conquer, like you said, and it needs to stop.
Yeah.
Because
can I get back? I don't want to forget this question because when you were saying it, I was like, I got to get back to this, but then we kept going about the other shit. The human animal hybrids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know much about that.
Nobody does.
That just sounds like some crazy shit, not in a bad way. It just sounds like
It
nuts.
doesn't exist. That's why.
Can you just give me the for dummies version of what's happening there?
Growing human organs is obviously going to be one of the biggest industries ever.
Yeah.
And it's hard to create artificial wombs to do that.
I mean, like, it would be a really good industry because then you could help people a lot. We would need stem cell research, of course. But, okay. I'm with you, Alex. What do you got to say?
Also, if something's 100% human, it's got rights. And if something's an animal, it's even got rights. But if it's a new species, an alien, which means never been on the earth before, part human, part animal, now that human-animal hybrid doesn't have rights. And so you can gestate it usually in a cow, but they grow other animal-human hybrids, pig-human hybrids, you name it, inside cows. Those cows are generally being given anti-rejection drugs, or themselves are part human, so that they can then not reject the humanoid they're growing up inside of it. And I remember 25 years ago seeing like MIT reports on it, and then even 5 years ago they had articles. Human animal hybrids are just.
Can he link those reports to me? Is that possible? Is this because I feel like it doesn't exist, but I just don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I need a source, Alex.
Stating or in utero on farms across the U.S. That's a real headline, and it just admits there's thousands of these clones. And I've talked to some people that have worked in biomedical areas that have been involved in it, including University of Texas.
Human animal chimeras are gestating on U.S. research farms. Oh my, wait, what the fuck? Is Alex not as crazy as we think? What is MIT? What is MIT technology though? Is this like a reputable source? Research centers are moving ahead with attempts to grow human tissue inside of pigs and sheep with the goal of creating hearts, livers, and other organs. Oh, this is very different. This is they're trying to grow human tissue into pigs and sheep to get organs for animals that they're pigs. They just have some human tissue in them. That's very different from a human animal hybrid and like the way that he's trying to say. He doesn't actually get a lot of things right at all. This is like barely anything. Like, what are you talking about? It's like nothing. It's like, yeah, we're trying to mutate animals to an extent so that they can we can harvest organs from them. Like, okay, that makes sense. I get what you're saying and why you would do that. And then Alex is trying to assert that, like, yeah, see, I told you, motherfucker. Like, no, you didn't really tell us anything. It's not the same as like some kind of like actual hybrid that's like half man, half pig. It's like almost 100% pig with some human tissue in it, because we use pig hearts. I believe. I think we use pig hearts or part of their, maybe they're part of their ventricles, and we put them into humans sometimes if they have heart problems. So,
Texas, and one time I was actually given a little tour, and I was off record, so I can't get into all of it, but I was able to see some of these.
Oh my God!
Over CCTV at a facility out in Bastrop from UT downtown. I was able to look at it.
wow, that has to be this has
DARPA
to be-
program. That was about 23 years ago.
Wow, incredible.
And these were human animal apes that they're using for medical experiments. And they admit that's going on. It's in the National Academy of Sciences and in the NIH and all that's going on. And so, but here's the deal. I'm talking about it. It's like I'm talking about Mars because it sounds crazy.
But, I don't think it actually sounds that fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. I think it sounds out of what we think would be acceptable, but then you look throughout history.
Well, that's it. It's all segregated away where you don't see it.
Yeah, you think of so many experiments throughout history. You think of so many surgeries that we have now that we deem as important in a routine that were.
I can't find any of that. What he's saying. What is he talking about? There's nothing that's he referenced the National Academy of Sciences. I'm not seeing any of this.
Born out of the Nazi experiments, and you think of so much crazy shit that goes on. It's not actually that unbelievable. It's wild, but it's not that unbelievable.
Exactly. And what's frustrating to me is 99% of what I cover is open source and not debatable. And then they'll just lie.
Everything you've been talking about here is not open source and non-debatable. Like, everything's very debatable. He's fucking insane, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy shit.
And say I'm making it up, but I mean, that's really going on. I mean, in the last week, they had the Washington Post, the New York Times, Bloomberg, the Financial Times of London all say it's time to have dictators. Freedom isn't good. It's time to censor.
Ooh.
It's time to be in a tyranny.
What?
These are headlines saying this.
Where?
That it's time to have a dictator. This is what the Davos Group and the globalists are selling.
Yeah.
What?
I just have another question about the animal hybrids.
I'm gonna fact check that.
What level of this is almost my morbid curiosity.
How do I look that up
right now? What level of consciousness did they have that they are an experiment? Did they have like animal intelligence? Did they have human intelligence? Somewhere in between? Do you even know? How much can you say?
Well, if you know how mad scientists work, and if you look at the spirit of evil that runs things, it's mad scientists. The sky's the limit. There are thousands.
I haven't found a single article that says that. It's in all the headlines. Yeah, it's not the ones I can read.
Admitted projects in the U.S. that have happened. Thousands in China. Ones I've seen in like financial reports out of Costa Rica, South Korea, just everywhere. So,
and don't forget your thought, but I've seen a lot of like studies about like when the government would operate on like mentally children.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh shit! She threw out the pro gamer slur.
You've had all the secret medical experiments and Tuskegee, but I mean, you were asking how far along it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that 23 years ago or so, I saw a CBS News article about a military base in upstate New York that had spider goats on it. So I was my own producer then. So
Spider goats?
Spider goats.
Okay.
So I called the name of the guy on the thing. He answers. He goes, "Yeah, I'll come on your show." "Yeah, I got a Defense Department contract. I'm a genetic engineer. We create body armor out of the milk of these goats that are part spider." And all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. He got in a bunch of trouble for talking to me, but he'd been in CBS News. I have had people, after that happened, walk up to me on the street and go, "You're a liar. We can't splice goats and spiders." Well, since then, there's thousands of articles admitting spider goats. Anybody can talk.
I gotta look it out. The spider goats. Okay. Synthetic biology and the rise of the spider goat. Okay. Apparently there's something here. These look just like regular goats. Freckles look like a perfectly normal kid. She has bright eyes, a healthy white pelt, and gambles happy with pudding, whatever. Sweetie and other 5 siblings. Until I fend her off, she's very known chewing my trousers. Blah, blah, blah. Freckles is a long way. She's a long way from normal, so she looks exactly normal. She's an extraordinary creation, an animal that could not have existed at any point in history before the 21st century. She's still a goat, but there's something a little extra in one of her cells. Freckles is also part spider. This is what we know as genetics crossbreeding. That's what pathology, blah, 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 but not necessarily. Okay. Freckles is a result of gene, but our master manipulation more shrimp. Okay, Freckles is a creation of whatever, blah, 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 blah. The Farmers University Outpost, blah, 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 blah. Randy, like many other good... Blah, 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 blah. So although the creature is part goat, part Spider-Man, still do border... Okay, we are... Why? We're interested in dragline silk, the silk that spiders catch themselves when they fall. He tells me, okay, it's stronger than Kevlar. It really has some amazing properties. Okay, and then since spider goats are extension of the farming we've been doing for 10,000 years, all livestock are and arable has been carefully bred. Each cross is genetic. Okay, the trouble is you can't farm spiders, Randy said. They almost comic deadpan face. They're very cannibalistic. He and his team took the gene that encodes dragline silk from the orb weaver spider and placed the DNA that prompts milk production in udders. The genetic circuit, the egg. Okay, now the Freckles lactates. Her milk is full of spider silk protein. We milk Freckles together and process in the lab so it leaves only the silk proteins. With the glass rod, we delicately lift our single fiber out. Very obviously spider silk, and then spool it into reel. Amazing. Okay, interesting. So what they did is they're turning the frogs get. No. What they did here, it's actually very cool, very interesting, almost a little scary though, is they apparently silk is like really good for like Kevlar, which I didn't even know about. I didn't know that at all. So they're just harvesting that so that they can get they're implanting that gene that creates that. How the fuck am I already gonna lose? So that they can harvest it. I mean, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot here. I mean, it's not as like fucking compelling and profound as Alex Jones is making it seem like it is. It's very interesting, but it's not quite a spider goat. It's a goat with some spider DNA in it to make it shoot silk out of its fucking titties. Okay.
Type in spider goats, you'll get articles going back 20 years. The point is that they kind of report it to see what we do and then kind of pull back. And so that's my point is if 20 something years ago, they had spiders, goats that were part spiders, whose udders were basically spider spinnerets because the rest of the goat looks like a goat.
Well, they're not even.
But the udders are like a spider spinneret deal.
Holy.
Not at all, Alex. That's not at all what it was. He's fucking insane, bro. He latches onto an idea and he fucking is insane. They're not like spider spinnerets at all. That's a complete misclassification. They're not like spider spinnerets. They're regular udders that produce milk with like the silk in the milk, and you still have to go through the milk and like pull the silk out in some capacity by removing like the milk proteins. What he's saying is insane. Milk, yeah. What he's saying is fucking psychotic. This is incredible, though. Alex Jones is a fucking American hero.
Look it up, guys. I'm not making this up. It's not even debatable. That's 20-something years ago.
I did look it up.
So I interviewed the head of the project.
Holy shit.
It's just insane. Like I had the head of HARP on like 25 years ago because back then I wasn't a big show, so I could just call and get people on. I'm like, oh, yeah, come on, tell us about HARP. He's the top scientist. He comes on as an Air Force colonel on the line. In case anything's classified, they kill the interview in 20 minutes and cut the guy off. He's like, well, yeah, HARP can't ignite the atmosphere. We can't control the weather. And like, that's a real interview with the real head of HARP. That really happened. So much of what I've done has just been really open source.
Well, of all the shit that you talk about, I think that the spider, or not the animal-human hybrids are actually probably one of the more believable things that you talk about. I think like...
Why don't you fact check any of these? Because it's insane.
Kind of common sense. It's one of those things people almost wonder, like, it's one of those questions you ask as like a 5-year-old, like, can a dog and a cat have a baby? It's like a very kind of juvenile thing. Of course.
Well, yeah, but no, they can't. But I imagine that scientists can manipulate their DNA to have dogs have some property of cats in some capacity if they really wanted to. Obviously, there's limitations because I imagine if they really, because they want the silk because apparently it's really good in Kevlar because it's very strong. But if they wanted more of it, they would, like, if they could, they would actually have the goat just fucking shit silk or actually have like spider spinneret and udders, but it's obviously a limitation that you can't do.
Of course there are scientists that fuck with that and try to make it happen.
Well, exactly. They're called chimeras. It goes back to the Greeks.
Guys, it goes back to the Full Metal Alchemist episode, the saddest one of them all, if you know what I'm talking about.
Because they mythically said there were these part man, part horse, part whatever, mermaids. Whether that ever existed or not, it does now.
Okay. Mermaids exist now.
Oh, they've definitely tried to splice humans with fish.
They probably wouldn't be so good if you think about it. They probably have like they would be more fit, like like mermen from like Castlevania are probably better representations. Because like they're actually like this is more along the lines of like what a mermaid would probably look like, instead of like the top half of fish and the bottom half of fucking. Dude, this is horrible. Like the bottom half of fucking whatever. Like that would probably be more realistic. So
I mean, they've done it all with embryonic.
They do need to make cat girls real for sure.
It's not debatable. Type in humans spliced with fish in genetic cloning test, and there's articles. Humans spliced with insects. Did you know?
Okay, humans spliced with fish. Humans spliced with fish. I'm doing it, Alex. I'm doing what you said. Oh, that's how they got this fish. That's fucking Photoshop. Accidentally create unlikely fish hybrid. Well, it looks like a fish. Crossbreed a female horse and a male donkey, or a liger. This is so stupid. Are these even credited? I can't even. It's science.org, maybe. Okay. Whatever.
As of last year.
It's just they're not even like close to what you would think when he's talking about. It's like there's some DNA that somehow lives inside of it. That's it. British teeth.
2021. There's already GMO salmon that's part insect and part mammal that's twice as big as regular salmon being sold on store shelves without telling you.
Wow.
I don't know if I believe that, but that was very enlightening to who Alex Jones is as a fucking person. That was psychotic. Holy shit. What an acid trip from top to fucking bottom, bro. Holy fuck. That was crazy. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.